Welcome, everybody, to the second keynote session of the day, which is understanding the power of acceptance to shift your perspective. Now, if you think about it, most of our issues are created due to our own tendency to judge, to compare, to get attached to expectations. And if that's the case, then the simple answer to all our complaints would be acceptance. Easier said than done, right? So, how does our mind work? Why do we create all of these issues? And how can a simple concept of acceptance be so powerful? And to help us understand this better, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Sonia Samtani, who is the founder and director of All About You from Hong Kong, who has coached and healed more than 20,000 people all over the world. Sonia, welcome to Women Empowerment Forum Global 2020. How are you today?
Great. It's so lovely to be here. Thank you for a fabulous introduction, Neera.
So tell us, what exactly is acceptance? And is it similar to positive thinking?
It's a great question because I get asked that all the time. So acceptance is simple, and many things that are simple are not necessarily easy. The easiest way to think about acceptance is to be with what's so. It's the art of being with what is, which is very similar to mindfulness. Because what mindfulness teaches us is just being able to be with the fact that you are in this room right now. There are clothes against your skin. Through your five senses, you're experiencing life. And in that way, you're not judging anything as good or bad. You're just looking at what is. And in this sense, no, it is actually nothing to do with positive thinking. That is a big misconception because by being positive, it's still judging something as good and positive. And positive can only exist if the opposite is there too. So positive only exists because there is a negative. Otherwise, we will not even know what is positive. So the acceptance that I'm talking about is moving beyond the two. It's looking at positive and negative and being able to accept both as a part of life.
Because it's both. We can't have one or the other anyway.
Exactly. And by saying positive, positive, what we are unconsciously doing is reinforcing that there has to be a negative. Otherwise, one can't exist. And most of us don't realize that. And then we start becoming judgmental to, oh, I wasn't positive. Is this person being positive? Are they adhering to positive thinking? Which then takes us away from the essence in the first place. So why not collapse both of them? And what I find beautiful about acceptance is it's collapsing that duality and you're looking at both sides, both shades of the coin through the lens of acceptance.
Makes sense. Now, we were having this chat earlier with Ginny Nezel where somebody had a question about being judged, right? She was afraid of being judged for her own values. Now, we are afraid of being judged at every single level of our lives. And again, everybody is different. Some people find it a lot more than the others. And again, sometimes we're judging others, but to a greater extent, we're judging ourselves. Now, what impact does whole judgment have on our lives? And how can the power of acceptance help with that, if at all?
So, according to my work, all our issues are created from judgment, all of them. So that's judgment that we picked up in our conditioning, judgment of what we should do, because what we should do is right. And there is a right and a wrong and a good and a bad. And obviously, we can't do what we should do 100% of the time. That means you're guaranteeing guilt and you're guaranteeing being wrong some of the times. And this is how our issues get formed. So we also need to understand that judgment is such a natural part of life. And that is because in our minds, if we're looking at the mind, we have a conscious and a subconscious mind. We also have a critical filter. And this filter is formed between the age of 0 to 8, where we begin to understand life in a binary format. So we begin to understand up and down, wet and dry. This is me, this is not me, together and separate. So opposites do exist. However, we also add to it good, bad, right, and wrong. So Our filter here introduces us to the law of duality. We take that to another level by adding that judgment of right wrong. So even though we've gotten that from 0 to 8, our job, therefore, with awareness becomes to decondition ourselves from the right and wrong and still be able to look at duality of life. I know it's a deep thing. It takes some time to even comprehend. It's not something that we can say, yes, okay. So let me know if there's anything that you don't get.
No, and the thing is, look, you've obviously worked a lot with people, and you've obviously studied all of this, and again, I'm sure it wasn't easy for you either. But again, when we talk about whole of the thing about being or acceptance, right? Whether it is ourselves or other people, it is hard, no doubt, right? I'm sure you can't deny that. Now, how do we become more accepted? Like, what do we have to do? Like, if somebody's done something wrong to me, or I'm not happy with this situation, um, how do I become? And again, from what I hear, if you accept, it's easier, right? It's easier for you as a person. It's easier for everybody around you. And what you're saying is that's the right way to handle situations now. But tell me and everybody else who's here, how do we become accepting of others and ourselves?
Let's start by accepting the small things. So if you are judging, start by accepting that you're judging. Because otherwise, you're judging and then you're feeling wrong about judging. So you're judging the fact that you're judging, right? So we start with the obvious and we start with the simple. Okay, so this is what I'm doing now. And once you accept something as simple as that, okay, I accept that I'm judging. Now what? What will happen is there's going to be a space that opens up. And in that space, you have freedom of choice. You have choice to go back to, okay, good, bad, right, and wrong. You have choice to feel something else. You actually can use your awareness to reframe with understanding. And understanding takes us towards acceptance. So if you're angry at somebody, you're judging that this person stole money from me. How could they? They're bad, they're wrong, how dare they? The more you do that, the more you're circling in your judgment. And if you argue, of course, you'll be right. How could they? You're absolutely right. That doesn't mean that you're happy. That doesn't mean that it's resolved. Now, if you take away the approval and you get that he stole or she stole, it happened. It's not good, it's not bad, it's not right, it's not wrong. It happened. Now, let me take a look at maybe from their perspective, why did it happen? Through understanding. Again, I'm not making it okay. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just getting it happened. I'm understanding why. Now, that acceptance takes us away from that whole judgment. And the biggest misconceptions with acceptance is, number one, people think it's approval. How can I say it's okay for somebody to steal? How can I make it okay? Because they think it's approving of it. It's not. It's getting that it happened because it's already happened.
Yeah.
You being angry about it is not going to change the past. It's not going to change what happened. The second misconception people have is they think acceptance means what to do. I can't do anything about it, so I might as well just accept. That's actually masking a resignation. That's giving up. That's not accepting. That's feeling like I've given up on life. So accepting is being with what happened and being at peace with it. And to come back to your question, how can we start? We start with using this concept with small things, just like do a daily review and look at what is it that I judged today? And where was I judging? And what could I accept as, okay, this happened without a right, wrong, good, bad, it happened. I take a deep breath and I get it happened. And then there is some space. Something can begin to open up. So that's a great place to start, I would say.
Right. Can you share any real life examples of where somebody came to you with certain challenges or issues, whether it was within themselves or with other people, and how did the acceptance process help them?
So whether I am working on self or others, that has to come. So now let's say if you're angry at your parent because they didn't spend enough time with you when you were a child, and somebody comes, they're extremely angry. The first thing to accept is your anger, because that is what's so. So when we're talking about acceptance, it is accepting what is the truth of the moment. So right now I'm angry. If you justify that I should be angry, again, you're judging that I'm right about being angry. If you're feeling guilty about being angry, you're judging yourself as being wrong for being angry. Either way, you're judging. But if you get that I'm angry, that's a great first place. What that allows you to do is the next thing, which is what I call catharsis. Catharsis is the release of toxic emotions. So you have anger, fear, sadness. These are basically the primary toxic emotions. And if you truly allow yourself to feel it with acceptance, you will find that these emotions have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So it starts and it's over. It's as if it goes like a wave. It's not swimming inside you because you're thinking, I'm right, I should be angry, or suppressed because you're guilty. It's as if you're feeling the anger and letting it go. So if I work with a live case, as I said, if somebody's angry at their parent, first is to acknowledge I'm angry. That gives great freedom. Then to do catharsis, to be able to let go of that anger. Now the body feels free. First, the mind is free, then the body is free. Your emotions are finally let out. And after that, you have choice. You have choice to look at it from a different lens, a different perspective, with more understanding.
And so, when you're talking about this let go process, uh, is there a method of doing that? Or I mean, because I mean, yes, I've accepted that I have this feeling, and I'm trying not to judge myself for the feeling or trying to justify, which is what you said. So I've done that part, and now you're saying that we need to, the catharsis, so letting go. So I mean, again, as a person who's not equipped, um, I wouldn't know how to let go. So is there a process? Do you work with people, or is there a process that people can follow to help let go? Like, I don't know, meditation or
Yes.
some form. Like how does one do it?
So, of course, you can do it in a session with a professional. But the easiest thing you can do for yourself is if you have something that you've not let go of, let's say you're very angry at someone, that means you'll be able to feel the anger because it's already there. It has a charge. So in that moment, scan your body and you will find where your body has stored it, because your body is the custodian of everything that you have ever felt across time, across space. Somewhere in your body, you would have stored it. So then my invitation would be put your hand in that spot, wherever it is, and take as many deep breaths as you need to physically release that. So after making the decision to accept, you're scanning your body, acknowledging the charge, and then through breath work, letting it go. This is why pranayama is so powerful, because it's breath work and it releases hidden toxicities in the body.
Great, great. Okay. Then next one is what you said is the choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the right choice? Like, how do we decide? Like, because it is hard.
Yeah, and the irony of it is to move away from a right. So once it is out and there is space, look at what choice gives you peace. So if you're angry about something, it's because you are thinking it shouldn't have happened. Now, if you look at it as it happened, you can get an understanding of what was the sequence of events that led it to happen. Now, usually if somebody is not giving you time, if somebody stole money, or if there are some things that we consider to be wrong, behind that is usually fear. People don't do from the peace of their heart actions to hurt others. So if you have love, joy, and peace of your heart, you will generally not do that. So behind the actions for the other person, usually there is some form of fear. Again, it's not our job to approve or disapprove of it. It's to understand this is what caused this action. This action is what caused the stealing or not spending time with me or lying or whatever it is. It happened, it's over. Now, when I say acceptance, I'm not asking you to have relationships with everybody who lies and steals either, because that's an important point to make here, is once you are in acceptance, you are free. Through that freedom, you have a choice in your relationships. You can continue with the same person if you would like to. You can end your relationship through peace because it doesn't work for you. You can place a boundary and say, okay, I'm going to be with this person, My boundary is this much, this is how much time I'm going to spend. Or we're not going to involve money in this relationship anymore. Or any type of boundary that you would like to put.
Great point. Great point. Okay. And then what?
And then, as we said, you have freedom, which means that that part of it is over. So that charge you were feeling, that anger you were feeling towards that certain someone, that issue is over. What you also have is a lens of acceptance. You have a different filter, which means that whenever somebody else does something that could even be remotely similar, you can look at it with your new lens, with your learning, and prevent yourself from going through the same thing again.
Great. I love what you said. The word you said, freedom. That was so powerful because really all of this will set you free because, that's what we're all tied up with so much that we could actually be free to think about things that really matter or to have a more positive outcome or focus to our lives, isn't it?
Absolutely. And what we're getting with acceptance is judgment causes issues, awareness heals those issues and gives you the freedom.
That's great. Yes, awareness heals those issues. And it is hard, like for us to be so self-aware. And you know what? Actually, I correct myself. It's not hard. We say it's hard, and we say we don't have the time because we just don't want to do it. And you have a great point that this is a choice.
Yes, exactly. And it's basically a choice we make moment to moment. Many people ask me as well, like, how can I be in acceptance? So it's not basically a light switch that you switch yourself on and now you're in acceptance. It's a choice that we make moment to moment. So that's why conscious living happens moment to moment. You need to make that choice and then you can get hijacked by the past. That'll give you an opportunity to make another choice. Then something might happen, your default program can play in the background, opportunity to make another choice. Yeah. So the more you make these choices, the more your default vibration begins to shift. So that there's more frequency, higher intensity of time you spend in that place. But it's still going to be a conscious choice.
Makes sense. Now, we have a question from somebody who says, is this something that we should be practicing daily?
Yes. Absolutely daily. So I have an invitation, which is right before going to bed. Do a daily review of every single thing that has happened in the day and anything that is incomplete with you, meaning that you're still feeling angry, you could still feel sad, you're still feeling incomplete. Become aware of that. Accept it. I'm still carrying this. And then, as I said before, feel that charge in your body if it's still there, and use your breath to release it. And that means every night before going to bed, you're cleaning your slate. You're cleaning your filter. And that means when you're sleeping at night, your subconscious mind is not going to get more rubbish because your subconscious mind gets updated every night when we sleep in our dream state. And whatever we have not processed gets updated. And we put a lot of rubbish in without realizing it. So yes, it is every day. Yes, I would say, become aware during your waking hours and just before sleeping, the daily review.
And we'll sleep better as well, right?
Oh, fully, yes.
Right. Now we have another question where the person's asking that how is acceptance related with forgiveness?
Okay, that's a beautiful question. And I would say that forgiveness is the first step towards acceptance. Because what forgiveness does is it puts you in a different position. Now, instead of saying, how dare you, how could you do this to me? You're saying, I forgive you. But let's take a good look at what forgiveness is. Forgiveness still has a slight background of judgment.
Right.
Yeah? Because now I'm here, you're here. I have decided to forgive you as a bigger person. I still think forgiveness is such a beautiful tool because it is step one. So once you get there, step two, through understanding, is just being with it. Being with what's so, as I said. And forgiveness is one of the best gateways to get there.
Makes sense. And all right, so we have one more question which says, how does one save themselves from the hijack of the previous behaviors or thoughts which we are trying to overcome?
I have spent the last 15 years working on myself and other people on this, and it is a lifelong journey. It starts with acceptance. So this is what I call, inner child. An inner child is a younger version of you that is stuck in a trauma of the past, and it has the propensity to hijack you. Like, let's say if you were in school and you felt left out. Now you go to a networking event, there's a group of people standing in a circle, nothing has happened, but your mind remembers what happened at school. Suddenly you start feeling left out where nothing has happened. Now, you will have so many of such events because so many times in our past we have felt not okay, not enough. So it firstly takes awareness to understand, okay, so this happened when I was at school. At school, my interpretation was I'm not good enough for this group. I interpreted something is wrong with me. Now I can go back to that younger version. I can look at the same event and maybe with acceptance make a new interpretation. That means that that particular hijack can potentially be taken care of. It doesn't mean that every hijack will be taken care of. So it takes us to be aware of our programs. And when we are aware, we can heal it with awareness. So I'm sorry, I don't have a quick fix. I have a longer, like a meditative fix, but once we get there, it is permanent and it will put you in a constant different vibratory state.
Yes, you're right. I mean, and again, this doesn't have to be a quick fix. I mean, it's taken us years and years to fall in that, but it will take us time to sort of get out of it. Makes sense. We have another question which says sometimes we need to take a decision which is the best for us because someone has multiple times crossed the boundaries we have set. In doing so, how do we deal with the feeling of guilt?
There are three things that we're bearing in mind. Like, people oscillate between selfish and selfless. So if you're selfish, I'm thinking of only me and no one else. If you're selfless, I'm thinking of only others and not me. So the best position to be in is self-love, where I'm thinking of me and others. And of course, it starts with me because it's your life, you're living in your body, and you know what works for you. So make a decision that works for you and communicate it in the most loving way possible for others, whilst understanding that they may not hear it in a loving way because they have choice of their interpretation. So they may hear it, they may judge you, and that's their prerogative. The only thing that you can do is to understand your intentions, give love to both parties, and say it from that space as much as possible.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Sonia. This is really, really nice, and we're getting a couple of things on the chat as well. This of how it has helped people already about what you've said. So, and I'm sure after listening to what you've said, a lot of people in our audiences will be more mindful about how they want to live their life, and of course, be more accepting of themselves and others. And of course, for all of you who do want to get in touch with Sonia, want to find out more about what she does and how she helps other people, we have left her details on the chat. So please do go in there and save it. And of course, she'll be joining us later for the networking session at 6 p.m. Singapore and Hong Kong time. So thank you once again, Sonia, for being part of the Women Empowerment Forum Global 2020.
Thank you so much, Neera. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me to your platform and for allowing me to share this.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.